Hi, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome to another episode of Let's Interview one of the finalists for the upcoming Athenaeum tabletop campaign. I am here, as you can see, with one of our lovely contestants, Nerd Chaos, also known as Ian.
Hello.
And as you can see, one of Ian's selected interviewers is a big veteran, was in the second campaign I ever created, right, Dylan?
Yeah. It's like number 2.
For those of you who may not know Dylan as well, he was Sync, which is like a human part cyborgy kind of character in the first Mass Effect campaign, Mass Effect Collision. So, Dylan, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to pay a visit to you guys. First question, what interests you about role-playing games, tabletop RPGs in general?
So I'm really interested in stories. I like to read a lot, but I'm also a very social person. So reading is more a thing you do on your own, but tabletop and especially a hard campaign is like a story with other people. So yeah, I think that's why I auditioned here. More in general, I think I'm really interested in creating something and bringing a character to life. Yeah, because I never done that. I don't write anything or something like that. But with other people together, I think that will be very interesting.
A nice question. I did watch your interview video, and in your video, you had said that you had watched about 5 of Hart's games. Is
Hmm.
that so?
Yes.
What do you enjoy most from watching his games? What do you get the most out of it whenever you watch one of his campaigns or one of his sessions?
So I watch his campaigns mainly like podcast or something. Like I'm not always watching
Yeah.
it, but I'm listening to it, and then I really enjoy, like I said on the other answer, I enjoy like character development and stuff like that. And there's a lot of drama in the last campaigns, so I like that. Yeah, a story with like 5 important people is a really good concept for me. Like it's not just one character I always have to like, but I can always have like, this is my favorite. Oh no, now I like this person, or I like the interaction between them. So yeah.
What makes you a good fit for Hark's style of play?
When friends come to me, I'm like a good listener, and then I can motivate them to do things they like. So I think I like that quality in me, and I think that's also a good quality for tabletop, because I can listen to them and ask them questions they never thought about, and move things forward like that. Maybe.
Yeah, sweet. I know you had come up with 3 ideas. What made you
Mhm.
decide to go with this one over your other 2?
First, I was thinking about the German autobiography character, but then I felt a little bit like that would be my safe thing, because I'm a little bit conscious about my German accent, and I was thinking, okay, I'm playing a German character, so that will be good. And then I want to challenge myself with this. So the Hobbit, I really enjoy the concept of a Hobbit. I have a friend, and we always talk about when we are old, we are sitting together in a moving chair and eat some cookies and read together. And so, yeah, just being like a hobbit. So I really like the concept of a hobbit, but I'm not so familiar with the Tolkien lore. So I had to go into this whole, oh, there are 3 different hobbits and stuff like that. So I have to research a lot. That's
Mhm.
the that's the thing about the Hobbit, and I also like the cookbook, because that was also a challenge for me. I like to cook, but I never created um, a world, and then coming up with ideas that are important to a cookbook in a world. Yeah, I thought that would be quite interesting, and we should also think about how the other characters work in our world. And I think that would be really interesting in this fairy tale cookbook world I came up with.
I wanted to say, Ian, and I mentioned this on your audition, that I love that not only did you decide to think out of the box and have a cookbook be the book that your character is from, but also making your character to not be human. So it adds a really cool twist. It's not just a cookbook, but it's a Hobbit cookbook, which I have a big soft spot for Hobbits because I think I read somewhere they had a thing where if you could represent different races as different races in Tolkien universe, somebody actually mentioned that Filipinos like myself are like the hobbits because we're short, we're very hospitable, and we cook very good food. So I thought that was really cute. But you kind of touched on it a little bit, Ian. So my next question is, could you please sell to the audience your universe, your world that your character comes from, and what is it about this world or universe that you think makes it interesting and fun for a party of PCs to visit?
Well, for my world, I mixed two genres, and I think I like how it turned out. At the beginning, I wasn't quite sure, but now I'm settled with the world is maybe shaped like a human tongue with the different areas of senses. Like at the top, there's sweet and stuff like that. So there are
Oh,
the five different areas in the world: sweet, salty, sour, and
sour, mm-hmm.
um, so
Spicy.
yeah, spicy and umami.
Ah,
And
that's clever.
and in these areas, for example, the Hobbit lives obviously in the sweet area, and then there's another town for the humans, and there's a city for the humans, and there's a wood and a river, and so in every different area, the food tastes more sweet or salty or stuff like that. And these areas are populated by fairy tale figures or tropes. For example, there's a bad, evil queen, there's a prince, a shining prince, then there's a wolf, maybe. So I'm not set on the specific tropes, but I think I thought about some, and you can add or take out any of them. And in fairy tales, that will be very interesting for the other characters as well. In fairy tales, there is good and evil. There's no in between. Maybe if you're unimportant, you don't have to choose, but if you're important for the story, then you are good or evil. So, for example, I think the Colorless King has a character who was an enemy in the first season, and now he's the main protagonist. So it's more gray for him. And if he comes to my world, he has to choose like being evil or being good. There's no in between. Ah, yeah, and the cookbook. There's also cooking is a lot about the senses. So it's obviously it's taste, but it's also seeing, it's hearing, touching, and with all these senses, my world plays. So it tricks you, and this trickery to the senses of the characters might also be interesting. How they will react to that.
So we are at Hamlin's Fisherman Village. It's a typical autumn summer's day. There's blooming flowers on the. There's people happy and merry in the streets. Hamlin, you spent your time in the more early in the morning in the farm, making sure all the plants are good, watering them and tilling the land, that sort of thing. You had a little bit of time around your second or third lunch. You always kind of get confused between the two. To get some new recipes down and get them into your book. You spent some time with your sister, had a couple of card games, got some very tasty pastries that she's been making. And you finally, at the day's end, have made your way back to your quiet but quaint little hole in the hill. And what would Hamlin be doing to wind down on a typical autumn summer day?
I think he has like a bench in front of next to his entrance, and he will sit down and just watch the river, just see how it quietly moves along, and yeah, think about the day, think about what he might try to cook tomorrow, what his first breakfast will be.
Okay.
Just like, yeah.
As the camera kind of pans, as we see Hamlin on the bench, we see the beautiful, nice sky, that cool but also kind of moist and humid summer air as he watches the river. Unbeknownst to Hamlin, someone just kind of walks up from the opposite side behind where you were looking, and he just kind of stops and looks at you. You can just feel you have someone's presence on you.
Then I will turn to their direction and say, "Good evening."
You've never seen this man before. He's definitely a hobbit, judging by his height and his hairy feet. He
Okay.
has a undertone of a very sour smell, but you can see that he's very expertly trying to mask it with like this lemony, citrusy smell. Every time you take a smell of air, you get this really sour smell that just kind of opens up your sinuses, and no matter how you try to get rid of it, it's almost like the smell is like consciously trying to reassert itself that it's masking the sour smell. He looks at you with a smile. Hi, are you Mr. Sweettooth?
Yes, that's me. Why?
Well, he bows. A pleasure to meet you, sir. I am Mr. Nosenberg. I saw an ad on this paper here, and he holds up a paper. You trying to write a book or something?
Yes, I'm trying to write a cookbook.
I was wondering if I could help you with that. Do you have time? Do you have anything to eat, maybe? I've been traveling quite far.
Do I have to eat? Yes, of course. Come sit down. Here's the bench. And
sit down.
Do you like some tea?
Oh, please. What sort of tea do you have?
The typical Earl Grey, but also green tea or jasmine or some herbs.
I would like the herb tea if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, I think I will go inside and prepare the tea and maybe get some cracker or something like salty.
Okay.
Yeah, things.
Would you say that Hamlin had some kind of like little hole in the door to be able to like look through if someone would knock on his door?
Yeah.
As you kind of grab everything and you have your little tray and you're walking outside, you can just see this really big eye kind of staring through the window. You can see he's looking at you, but he's very curious to see what else you have laying about.
I will go outside I will open the door.
Okay.
And
unbeknownst to him, he kind of trips a little bit as the door comes suddenly opening, and excuse me, I could smell the herbs coming from inside. I've kind of lost my balance. Tell me, how far are you on your book you're writing?
Don't count your chickens before they hatched. So I have some recipes, but you said you wanted to help. How did you want to help?
I could give you a recipe or two.
Can I ask a question out of character?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like smelling sometimes can communicate something in this world. Can I smell something like, is he good intentioned or?
Yeah, you think he's good intentioned. He seems very for a hobbit. You've seen hobbits most of your life. He seems just different, though.
Okay.
But he does have good intentions.
Okay, good. So you have some recipes, you said?
I do. I could tell them to you. I didn't write them down, but I've got them in my mind.
Okay, I have always some paper with me. I love to hear about recipes.
Yes. Where are you? Tell me, have you lived in this village your whole life? I've never been here before.
Yes. I was born here and I will live here until I am very old. I love this village.
Oh, I live in the woods. I had lots of trouble coming here. There was the wolf. He pulls back his shirt and you can see he's got like a smoldering undershirt, and you can see the reason maybe it's smoldering. He has this red pendant around his neck that has a lot of like cushion underneath it. I've got this thing here. He tried to touch it and it burned him. I'm not really quite sure why.
That's very unusual for a hobbit to live by himself in the woods.
What's unusual about it?
Don't you have a family?
What does they look like?
What a family looks like?
Is that one of your recipes?
Oh no. Where did you learn your language?
I'm not really quite sure.
Okay. Have you ever been like this? And you had always this necklace with you?
He reaches down and he grabs it and he like holds. Oh, you mean this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't really know. I believe so. I'm sorry, but tell me. Let's get to the recipes, huh? Yeah, I'll write it down on this paper for you.
Okay, but maybe you can tell me the recipes and I will write it down. So I would like to hear how you tell it to me, because that's really important to me to get a feeling for the recipe.
Okay. I'll,
What's your first? Yeah.
My first name is Welbin.
Welbin? Nice to meet you, Welbin.
And what's your name, Mr. Sweettooth?
My first name is Hamlin.
Oh, well, nice to meet you, Mr. Hamlin.
Nice.
So this first recipe I'm going to tell you about is a very secret one. So I don't mind you put it in your book.
Oh.
But just don't say you got it from Mr. Nosenberg.
I can breathe secrecy.
I'd appreciate that. And he kind of thinks he sits down and crosses his arms, and you can hear him mumbling to himself, thinking about it. I believe the recipe starts with a chuck roast, some onions,
sounds reasonable. Yes.
a couple of garlic cloves,
Mm-hmm.
a wood fire with hickory, and then you smoke it for 2 minutes. Only 2 minutes.
Okay, that's short.
You turn it upside down.
Mm-hmm.
You cut it in half.
Yeah.
Then you cut it in half again. Put it back in the fire for another 30 seconds.
Okay. That's
And then-
high art. Very precise. Okay.
That's how we eat where I come from, out in the woods. Then you sprinkle a little lemon on it, make it a little sour. Make sure there's no animals around you when you do that part. It's very important, yeah.
Okay.
And then you dig in and eat it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sounds like a recipe from the woods. Thank you. And who teach that recipe to you? Did you came up with it?
I come up with it myself, yeah.
Okay. Like you're also a culinary person.
So, let me ask you a question, Mr. Sweettooth, if you don't mind me saying your last name. If, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, you have any recipe that you can share with me? Surely someone by the name of Sweettooth, you should have something particularly sweet.
So you're interested.
He rubs his tooth.
So you're interested in something sweet.
Yeah.
And a recipe. Okay. Do you have a kitchen or just like a fireplace? Can you put something in the oven, or do you have just fire?
When you say oven, what exactly does that mean?
Okay. So maybe you don't have it. Then maybe just something very simple on a warm day like today. You take like some strawberries and cut them and put some sugar on it and just put it in milk. Just strawberry milk.
Strawberry sugar in milk?
Yes.
I'll have to give it a try.
There's a little bit sour in it, so you will be familiar with that, but you can start with a little bit sugar and then add to it the more you get used to the sugar.
I never tried that before. Thank you, Mr. Sweettooth.
You're welcome.
What else can you tell me about yourself? I never met someone as so kind as you. The woods can be a very harsh place.
Yeah, I imagine that. And you have no family, so I just moved out of my family's home, so I can't imagine living on my own. I live with my sister, but she has a boyfriend, so maybe she will move in with him. Yeah, but I don't like the idea of living all by myself.
It's not so bad. I've been doing it for a while, but to each his own, as they say.
Yeah,
Mr.
of course.
Sweettooth.
That's why I like to meet people and hear their recipes and about their lives, so I can broaden my horizon.
Well, if you ever need to broaden your horizons, Mr. Sweettooth, come down to the woods, take 2 sticks, and crack them like that. I'll come find you. I'll show you around. I don't want to keep you too much longer, though. It was a pleasure.
But didn't you say you have a second recipe?
Oh, you remember that part?
Yeah.
I
never forget about recipes.
So I kind of lied about that. I hope you don't mind me being rude. I just didn't think you'd let me give you the first one or talk to me at all if I didn't give you 2.
Okay, no, 1 is perfectly fine, thank you. But if you ever happen to cook something else, come to me. I will be interested.
I will find
Okay, I don't think I wouldn't like to visit you, but I like my village and I don't like to go to the woods. It's a little bit too dangerous for myself. And you're always welcome at my home.
Thank you, Mr. Sweettooth. Tell me, can I bring any of my friends over next time?
The more the merrier.
Oh, the wolf would love to hear about that. Thank you.
You're friends with the wolf?
I can't really talk about it. Just pretend I didn't say anything. It'll be fine. And he's gonna try to kind of like backing out of the door slowly. And then he kind of waves to the people, and then he just kind of jets off.
Okay.
What does Hamlin do with this new recipe?
Nothing. I think he will write. He has it written down and put it somewhere else, but I don't think he like a raw piece of meat cooked for 2.5 minutes. I don't think.
How would he improve it? What would he do? How would he improve it?
I think mainly not this big thing, but make it smaller, like on a shashlik, and roast it with the. I think the fire add the smoke aroma. That might be something he will take, and also maybe think about how lemons could improve dishes, because he's very familiar with sugar, but the sour aspect maybe, yeah. So it's more in broad and general that he talked to someone who is main focused on sour, that he thinks, oh yes, there's something different, but not like, okay, this is the recipe, I will follow it like this.
Ian, if you don't mind, I actually want to ask you to do 2 things for me, if you could humor me.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is I want you to pretend that you are the host of your own cooking show. And so I want you to pretend you're in your cooking show, and I want you to pick a very simple, super easy recipe. Like, it could be tea, it could be like a peanut butter jelly sandwich, it could be a ham sandwich, something really, really simple with relatively few steps.
Mm-hmm.
Could you pretend that you are a TV show, cooking show host, and present to us how you would teach somebody how to make this recipe to the audience?
Okay. Hello and welcome back to Cooking with Hamlin. Today is spring and I picked some very fitting dish for that, asparagus with seaweed. Because it's spring, you need something fresh that will remind you of the summer is coming, and I think this dish will fit that description perfectly. First, you have to take the asparagus. You need a green asparagus, and maybe you try to cook them. They are very easy, but you have to cut the end of it, because the end might be a little bit too strong. Yeah, okay. You take them and you lay them here, and then you take a knife and cut just the ends. So I think that will be good. I think everyone can do that. And then you make them in like 5 centimeter big pieces, and you take them and put them into a frying pan. And there they have to stay just like 2 minutes, just to be brown on some size. But you can eat asparagus raw, so you can't make a mistake in cooking them too short. And then you take the asparagus out and put them aside, because that's a dish you eat cool. So you eat it on the warm summer and spring days. And then you take the seaweed and you have to rinse it in water, so there's no stones or anything else you don't want to in them. And then you just shake it a little bit, that there's no water on it, and then you put it on your plate and put the asparagus into it, and then you wrap it just like a wrap. And yeah, then you take lemon and put the like 10 drops of lemon inside it. If you're from the wood, maybe you put a whole lemon into it, but I'm from the sweet area, so I prefer 10. Hello, it's me, Hamlen Sweettooth. I'm just your ordinary hobbit. I like to sit on a bench and watch the river, or cook and talk about your favorite dish. So if you want to have a good time and play some cards or talk about anything your heart desires, I will be there. And I would like to explore the world and the different culinary worlds of the different genres. So yeah, that would be fine. Nothing too dangerous, no adventures at all, just to broaden my culinary horizon.